Welcome back to the channel, guys. I am Matt. Now, I am solo today. I know you guys are so upset. It's horrible. Vanessa's working like 4 days straight this week, and there was just no way that her and I could film a video for today, for Monday. But she will be back for Wednesday's video and for Friday's video, and they're going to be a lot funnier than this one. So about a month ago in another video, Vanessa and I were talking about our pasts and how we met and all that, and I had mentioned that I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and that is just a whole nother long shit story. And a lot of people did say, hey, we want to hear about it. Some of them said, I was also raised a Jehovah's Witness, or, my relative's a Jehovah's Witness, or whatever. It's a big enough religion now that most people at least know one or two Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I'll start from the beginning, and I apologize ahead of time if I end up kind of ranting or going on, but people are asking for it, and so I'm going to give it to you. Obviously, this isn't one of our funnier videos, so, just a heads up ahead of time. If you're not into it, feel free to turn off. So I was born to a single mom. I had never met my real dad. He basically skipped out when he found out my mom was pregnant. He was in a rock band and all that stuff. I did end up talking to him on the phone a couple times a few years back, and I don't know. He wanted to do a DNA test and all this crap, and I guess it's something I just keep putting off because it's not really that high on my priority list anymore. I have my own kids. And so anyway, my mom and my grandma were actually pregnant at the same time. My mom was about 20, 21, I believe. My grandma was like 40, and she had a kid late. So my aunt and I are only like 6 weeks apart. I have an aunt, and we grew up almost brother and sister. So anyway, my grandma back then, I think before she got pregnant, started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses. My mom was kind of a partier, and she did drugs, and this is, in the late 70s, then early 80s. And when she got pregnant, she obviously decided she wanted to clean her life up. So, from talking to her mom and about, this religion and how great it is and the community is amazing, my mom started going to Jehovah's Witness meetings and studying with them. And then eventually, when I was, I think, 4 or 5, my mom met my stepdad, who is also a pretty devout Jehovah's Witness. And he ended up actually adopting me. And so, yeah, we were full-blown Jehovah's Witnesses. I was baptized as a Jehovah's Witness when I was like a teenager. And, that was basically what I was. That's what you are. That's your lifestyle. One thing about Jehovah's Witnesses is that it's just so much more than a normal religion. It is a lifestyle. A lot like maybe you could say Mormons or some other religions like that. I mean, you hang out with other Jehovah's Witnesses. They view people that aren't Jehovah's Witnesses as bad association. They aren't like separatists where they live in a little community or something. They go to normal jobs and whatever. But when it comes to like after work association, after school association, you kind of want to hang out with other Jehovah's Witnesses and good association. Now, I'm going to be dissing on religion a little bit in this video. And I hope you guys know that I am not looking down on anybody that's religious. I absolutely respect it. If religion is something that someone believes, if that's something that helps your life and you have a love for God and that's your thing and it makes your life better, I absolutely respect that. The only time that I don't respect religion is when it does things like what Jehovah's Witnesses do, and it gets in between relationships and it kind of causes hardship on the kids and stuff. And, I don't feel sorry for myself or anything like that, but growing up as a witness, you were picked on a lot, and because you're weird, you're different. You're the one kid in class that's not eating the cupcakes that for the birthdays, and that comes back from Christmas vacation and says, I don't celebrate Christmas, when all the kids ask you what you got for Christmas and whatnot. And it's not that my parents were horrible. They did other like kids party type things for us sometimes and whatever. It's not like I feel like I had just this horrible life, but it was a lot different. You didn't get to enjoy a lot of those same things that other kids got to enjoy, and so other kids a lot of times would pick on you for it. Now I did read the Bible. I've read it a few times, and I'll tell you guys right now, I'm basically, depending on the day, I go back and forth between like agnostic and atheist, okay? And I'm not going to preach any of that and tell you guys that you're wrong. I'm all for everyone believe what they want to believe. Let's just not, get on each other, or let's not judge each other for what they want to believe, as long as it's not bothering somebody else, go for it. But I'll tell you, now that I'm older, I would definitely fall into one of those agnostic atheist categories. I kind of just did one of those points where I don't freaking know what's going on. I don't think we were meant to know what's going on. And I don't think about it a lot anymore. So once I got old enough to start thinking more about religion and different things like that, a lot of the stuff just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And a lot of the Jehovah's Witness beliefs didn't make a lot of sense to me, along with the Christian beliefs, because Jehovah's Witnesses are basically a form of Christianity. They disagree with a few different things that I guess your mainstream Christians believe in, stuff with the Trinity and what happens after you die and things like that. So some fairly big things, but they still read the Bible. They call themselves Christians and whatever. It's one of those things where I started having doubts and whatever, but it's also one of those things where when you have doubts, when you're in a religion, people tell you, you just don't have enough faith, right? You can't win an argument with a religious person, especially Jehovah's Witness sometimes, because if you bring up something that just doesn't make a lot of sense to you, they'll bring up the faith argument. And so a lot of things are faith-based. And if people have it, that's great. I didn't, but a lot of stuff didn't make sense to me. And so it would just kind of make you feel bad. Like, well, it's your fault that you're having those doubts. It's your fault that you don't believe in what we believe in. And it's because you're not close enough to God and you're not spiritual enough and what have you. So at that time, well, when I was a teenager, I was really into sports. I didn't get to play a lot of organized sports because of bad association, right? The coaches, I'd play at school in PE, and the coaches would always come to me, and they'd want to call my parents and talk them into it because I'm tall and I was good at basketball and whatever. And most of the time it was no. Finally, my senior year, I did get to play some organized sports, but it's one of those things that I always wish I would have played longer, throughout high school. And so I'm definitely with my kid, not pushing him with sports, but I'm definitely, with him, it's like the sky's the limit. Whatever you want to do, let's do it. We'll make it happen. I support you with it. And at the same time, I started being more rebellious, and I did go and, drink and things like that. And these are all definite no-nos with Jehovah's Witnesses, obviously, and you can get what they call disfellowshipped for it. But if you go back and repent and stuff, or you tell on yourself and tell on whoever else was with you, and you act like you're repentant and feel bad, most of the time you won't get disfellowshipped. Kind of skirted around the line. Like, I didn't completely leave because I knew that it would be a life-changing thing. I wouldn't have a relationship with my family. I didn't want to let them down. My family still to this day thinks that I'm, basically screwed because I don't believe in what they believe in, and that, God hates me or something, and I'm not going to live, have the promise that they have, which a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses think, there's going to be, God's going to restore the earth to a paradise. All the evildoers won't make it and whatever, and people get resurrected and blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go too much into that because I could talk about that for a couple hours, but if you're interested, read up on their doctrines or something. Some of it's fairly interesting. But I kept skirting around the lines. I wouldn't go to our church. We called them meetings. I wouldn't go to those sometimes, but I wouldn't necessarily just say, okay, I'm done. And so going into relationships, I ended up marrying somebody when we were 20 for like 6 months, right? And it was one of those things where we just jumped into it way too fast. There's some things that happened that I don't really want to talk about here, but it didn't work out. And so we split up. I got married again when I was 24, and she was a Jehovah's Witness, and she was from Montana, and so we ended up moving back here. We got married once I moved here, and I started going to Jehovah's Witness meetings more again because my ex-wife was into that, and she was definitely like what you would call a double lifer. Did the whole Jehovah's Witness thing, she believed it, did whatever her family told her to do, wasn't really a deep thinker, but at the same time had no problem, drinking and smoking cigarettes behind people's backs, and obviously later on cheating and doing really messed up, fucked up shit. And a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are like that. They hold you to such a line, right? Like, you got to be perfect, and if you don't, you're going to lose everything because you're going to get disfellowshipped and none of your friends or family are going to talk to you. So they do what's called called a double life. Okay. So finally, I stopped going to meetings. Her and I got divorced, and I just started doing my own thing. I'm just like, I was done with being a Jehovah's Witness, whatever. But at the same time, I wasn't going to go tell the elders that or anything. I didn't want them to disfellowship me, la-di-da-di-da. I ended up having a fling, and she got pregnant with Owen. My ex-wife at the time wanted to have grounds to get remarried. As a Jehovah's Witness, you gotta, even if you get divorced, you still gotta have grounds to get remarried, and that is cheating. Okay. And so she was doing the same thing. Turned out later, she had already been sleeping around with people, having threesomes, doing crazy shit, right? But because I was having a baby, she could go to the elders and say, hey, look, Matt gave me grounds to get remarried. He is obviously sleeping with someone else. And so I can get remarried and I'm good, right? Because that's all that matters with a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, not like the meaning of it, just the fact that they can get away with stuff. And so the elders asked me to come meet with them, even though I hadn't been to that church for years. And fine, I said fine. I knew it was coming. I went. They were going to disfellowship me whether I went or not. They disfellowshipped me because I had a kid outside of wedlock. And obviously, I guess I didn't seem, I said I shouldn't have done it, but I told them at the same time, I don't really believe in what you believe in. And that, at the end of the day, I'm happy that I had a kid now. Maybe I was sinning or whatever in your standards, but it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. And so they ended up disfellowshipping me. And so what that basically did was kill the relationship that I have with my family. Now, my family all lives in Seattle, but we still saw each other a lot, even though I lived over here. I'd go over there and stay with them. My family would come here. We'd all spend time together. When you're disfellowshipped, it's like you need to have minimal contact. They don't want you to sit down. You're not really supposed to sit down and have a meal with someone. You're not really supposed to stay over at someone's house and whatever. And so since that's happened, I've had minimal contact with my family. We'll talk on the phone once in a while and what have you, but I'm not welcome to go to their house and go visit them in Seattle. And my mom's come over here a few times to visit Owen, but when she does, she stays at a hotel, and her and I don't talk very much when she's here. We'll talk a little bit, but we don't spend a ton of time together. And here's the thing. It sounds really evil if you're not used to, if you have never been a Jehovah's Witness or don't know a lot about it, but these people are brainwashed. They're absolutely brainwashed. And they think that they're doing what God wants them to do. And that's a strong thing. Okay, they think that they'd be sinning if they go against what the church says. And there's a few scriptures that kind of vaguely, loosely talk about disfellowshipping and casting out those unbelievers and whatever. And it's been taken a little bit too literally by Jehovah's Witnesses, and they ruin lives. They do. And so the thing that I've always battled with witnesses is, are they a cult or are they not a cult? In some ways, yes. A lot of people think a cult's just following one person. You have this leader and you have kind of unorthodox beliefs. There's multiple definitions of it if you look in the dictionary. And I do think that because of the control that Jehovah's Witnesses do have over the people that are witnesses, over their flock or whatever you want to call them, I would definitely title them as a cult. I would call them a cult. And honestly, I fucking hate that whole organization, to be honest with you. And a lot of the people use it as a power thing over others. And I've seen it firsthand. And, it's basically this offshoot religion that was created by some men that didn't like normal Christianity or whatever. And they just became the true Christians in their mind. And so there's been people that have sued Jehovah's Witnesses, and they've never won, and Jehovah's Witnesses spend millions on lawyers and stuff because of this. But it's because you can't, they say, well, they did it on their own accord. They came to us on their own accord. They got baptized themselves. They knew the rules, and we didn't hurt them or anything. We just told we just taught our flock that, you're not supposed to have dealings with these unbelievers and whatever. And people have lost their jobs because they've gotten disfellowships and they worked for other Jehovah's Witnesses. They've lost relationships like I did. My family's getting old. I barely have anything to do with them. I have a niece that is a couple years old that my sister had, and I've never seen her face to face before. And well, no, I take that back. I did once when she was a baby for 20 minutes. She was sleeping. She was, probably like a month or two old. And I saw her once when I met them at the mall or something to pick up my son. But, I don't have the relationship with them that I used to have. And I'm not really angry at them because I understand in their mind, they don't have a choice, right? In their mind, they believe this is the truth. That's what they call it a lot, the truth. And they believe that this is how things are supposed to be. And they believe that they have to follow these rules. And because that's what God wants. They want, obviously, everlasting life and all this shit, and they believe that it's for my own good too. Like if you shun that person, they'll come back to you, like it's like a punishment almost. And I don't think my mom has accepted the fact that I'm never coming back yet. I don't think she accepts it. I'm sure it's in her prayers every single night that she wants me to come back. So, in a lot of ways, I do feel bad because it's kind of heartbreaking. And I know she probably cries about it and whatever. And she feels like, she failed and as a parent and that, I am lost forever or what have you. But this is why I hate religion. A lot of religion is so guilt-based. A lot of people don't do even what they're supposed to be doing because they, for the love of religion or God, they do it because they're afraid of going to hell, or in Jehovah's Witness cases, not living forever. And you are taught from an early age to feel guilty, right? You do anything, say a cuss word, you feel really guilty as a kid. Not saying these kids should say cuss words, but it's a very guilt-based thing. Most religions are that way. Whether God is real or not, that's irrelevant. I'm just saying that a lot of religions have turned into this guilt-based system, and a lot of people don't even follow what their religion tells them to follow because they want to. They do it because they just don't want to go to hell or, die or whatever. And so that's part of why I don't like religion. Like I said, if you guys are religious, that's great. I respect that. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, just like you won't tell me what to believe. But people ask me for my backstory. And I feel like religion has ruined a lot of people's lives throughout the centuries. And Jehovah's Witnesses think that they are such a pure, great religion and all these other religions are just horrible sinners and they war over them and whatever. And a lot of that's true. There has been wars over religion and what have you, but they think that they're the pure ones and that they're the good ones and that they are, designated by God to help save people and go knock on doors and try to convert you. And I'm telling you right now, if you're thinking about it, if you're considering becoming a Jehovah's Witness or you're studying, know what you're getting into because you get pushed into a lot of things. The next thing you know, you say, I'm getting baptized now. And it's all exciting because it's this great community. It's this tight-knit community and everybody acts like brothers and sisters and cares about you so much and whatever. But make sure that that's what you want. If that's what you want, so be it. You're either in or you're out. And once you're out, those people will all turn their backs on you, including your children or your parents or whoever, if they're witnesses too. And people will be forced to choose between you and that religion. And if they are brainwashed enough, they will choose that religion or cult or whatever the hell you want to call it. So let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. I know that this was a lot more serious than most videos that I do. I guess it's kind of therapy because it's not something that I talk about very often. Vanessa probably doesn't even know some of these things that I mentioned here. And God, I feel good now. I feel good. But let me know if you guys have any questions or if you have a story of your own. If you were a witness also, feel free to vent down in the comments. I've been in different Facebook groups with ex-witnesses. There's forums out there. And a lot of people have way worse stories than I do even. And their lives have gotten severely screwed up or ruined because of this so-called religion and truth. And, some people might see this that knew me from back when I was a witness and think that I'm just awful now because I talked bad publicly about them. It's this damning thing. It's a horrible thing to them. But I don't care. You know what? I'm not brainwashed anymore. I want my kids to be happy, good people, and want to do the right thing because it's the right thing, not because they're afraid of getting disfellowshipped or afraid of dying or afraid of going to hell or anything like that. I want them to be good, live good lives, leave their mark, and make their life worth living because this is the one life we have, in my opinion. And a lot of people are waiting for something else, and sometimes it just never comes. So that's about it, guys. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and we will have some funnier content and some better content coming up later on this week. But this was just a nice, easy little rant video because I was all on my own. And I need Vanessa in order to do anything decent, or I end up ranting about my life, obviously. Anyway, that's about it. Hope you guys have a wonderful week.